Hey, welcome back to the AI Compass podcast. I'm your host, Susan Platt, and this is episode 2 of our season 3, Build Smart with AI. And we're recording in May 2026. If you haven't listened to episode 1 of this season yet, I'd encourage you to start there. Not because you'll be lost without it, you won't, but because today's episode is designed as the practical companion to that one. Episode 1 was the philosophy and the frame, and this episode is the toolkit and the workflow, and they work better together. Before I hand you 8 tools and I say go ahead, I want you to make sure that you have the right foundation underneath them. Sort of a place to put things, a clear sense of which tool to reach for and when. And carrying forward from last week, the standing rule that applies to everything that follows: anonymize what matters, verify what goes out, choose the privacy first tool when the stakes are high. So here's what we are covering today. In Waypoint 1, we're setting up your AI workspace, a simple folder structure based on the para method that gives every AI output a home before you touch a single tool. In Waypoint 2, we're walking through the toolkit itself. 8 tools, one clear purpose each, with a practical example for everyone, and an honest privacy rating so you know exactly what you're working with. And in Waypoint 3, we're putting it all together into 4 working rhythms: research, drafting, creation, and review, that you can adapt to your own week regardless of how that week is shaped. So, let's go. Waypoint 1. Before you touch a single tool, set up your AI workspace. Here's something I wish someone had told me earlier in my AI journey. The mess doesn't come from using too many tools. It comes from having nowhere to put what those tools produce. So you try a tool, it generates something useful, you paste it into a random document or you download it. That document disappears into your downloads folder, and 3 weeks later, you are recreating the same prompt from scratch because you cannot find what you did the first time. Does that sound familiar? The fix is simple. And if you listen to episode 6 of season 2, our Swiss Biz Builder seasons, you will already know it, because we covered it there with my guest and co-host Libby. It is called the para method, developed by productivity expert Tiago Forte. So 4 folders, 4 clear purposes, tool agnostic, which means it works whether you're on Google Drive, iCloud, Microsoft OneDrive, or Infomaniac K Drive, or anything else like that. The original para labels are projects, areas, sources, and archive. And today we're going to keep those as the foundation and give them an AI-specific flavor, so that when you are working with these tools, you always know exactly where something belongs. So AI Active, formerly projects. This is your live work folder. Anything you are actively using AI to support you right now goes into the AI Active folder. Podcast script in progress, course module you're drafting, a client proposal you're refining, an email sequence you're building, and if it is active, if it has a deadline or a next step, it lives in AI Active. The next one is AI Workflow, formerly Areas. This is for the ongoing processes that run your business, the things with no end dates that you return to regularly. Your content calendar, your newsletter process, your social media templates, client communication frameworks, things like that. These are not projects, they are systems. And AI Workflow is where those recurring rhythms live. AI Library, formerly Resources. This is the folder most people never build and then desperately wish they had. Your best prompts, your voice reference documents, the examples of your own writing that you feed to AI so it learns how you sound. Templates you have refined, research outputs worth keeping. One principle above all: when you find a prompt that works, save it. Name it clearly. That prompt is an asset. Treat it accordingly. Next up, the AI Vault, formerly the archive. So these are the completed projects, old drafts, past experiments, things you are not actively using but might want to reference later. And the AI Vault is not a bin, it's a record. This is really important. And in a field that is moving as fast as AI, being able to look back at how you worked 6 months ago is more useful than you might think. So, setting it up. Create these 4 folders today in whatever system you're already using: Google Drive, iCloud, OneDrive, Informatica, Notion. You do not need a new system. You just need a new shelf within the system you already have. And before you file anything in these folders, one standing rule that carries over from episode 1 and applies to everything we do today. Never store real client names, identifying details, or confidential information in AI-generated documents without thinking carefully about where that document lives and who can access it. The folder structure keeps you organized, but your judgment keeps you professional. Your AI workspace is the foundation. Everything else, the tools, the workflows, the prompts, builds on top of it. Set it up once and use it always. Waypoint 2, the toolkit. So 8 tools, one clear purpose for each. Think of this less as a list and more as a menu. These are 8 tools that between them cover every major category of AI-assisted work you will encounter as an entrepreneur. You do not need all of them immediately, and you do not need to master any of them before moving on to the next. Like, start with one. Build from there. The goal is not to have a full toolkit by next Friday. It is a working relationship with the tools that genuinely serve you, built steadily over time. And I need to reiterate that this list is current as of May 2026, because as you know, the landscape is shifting incredibly fast, and something else might already be available if you're listening to this in June, July, August 2026, or even later on. Let's dive in. So for each tool, I'm going to give you 4 things. What it is in one sentence, what it is best for, one practical example of how I use it or how you might use it in your business, and a privacy note, because after everything we covered in the last episode, you deserve to know what you're handing your data to before you type a single word. Let's go through the tools. Number 1, and no, the one that you're expecting is the next one, we're going to start with Lumo. So the first AI tool I would like to introduce is not the most widely known, but I think it is a really important player, Lumo. What it is a Swiss privacy-first AI assistant built by the team behind Proton Mail and Proton VPN, owned by the Swiss nonprofit and subject to GDPR. This tool is best for any AI-assisted thinking, drafting, or research where data privacy matters, client-adjacent work, sensitive business decisions, anything you would not want stored on a server you don't control. So as a practical example, you are working through a difficult client situation and you want to think it through with an AI thinking partner. You describe the dynamic without naming the client and ask Lumo to help you identify the key variables and possible approaches. The conversation stays on your device, no logs, no training data, no exposure. And the privacy note, it's green. Zero access encryption, keeps no logs, cannot be seen, shared, or used to profile you. So for privacy-conscious founders, this is your default tool for sensitive work. And the link is in the show notes. Number 2 is Claude, which I know you have all been expecting. And what it is an AI assistant developed by Anthropic, built with a strong emphasis on nuanced reasoning, long-form thinking, and careful, considered output. It is best for complex drafting like course development, script writing, structured thinking, long documents, and any tasks where you need an AI that can hold a lot of context and reason carefully across it. Practical example, you are building a course module and you need to structure 6 weeks of content around a clear pedagogical arc. You brief Claude with your audience, your learning outcomes, and your existing material, and ask it to help you identify the logical sequence and the gaps. It will not write the course for you, but it will help you think it through with a rigor that a general-purpose tool often cannot match. Privacy note, this is an Amber tool. Anthropic has strong ethical commitments around data use and does not use Claude AI conversations to train models by default. But as always, anonymize client details and sensitive business information before inputting. Number 3, the big one, ChatGPT. And what it is, OpenAI's flagship AI assistant, the most widely known and widely used AI tool. It is best for quick tasks, no drafting, brainstorming, generating options rapidly, and being the tool your clients and collaborators are most likely already using so you understand the landscape that they are working in. And as a practical example, you need 10 subject line options for your next newsletter in the next 10 minutes, and you brief ChatGPT with your topic, your audience, and your tone, and you have a short list to react to before your coffee gets cold. Will not use any of them verbatim, but you will find 2 or 3 the right direction. Again, privacy note, Amber, dark amber, Free tier conversations may be used to improve OpenAI's models. If privacy matters for particular tasks, and after episode 1 you know when it does, use Lumo instead. The next tool is Google Gemini. What it is? Google's AI assistant deeply integrated into the Google ecosystem. Gmail, Google Docs, Google Drive, Google Meet. So it's best for anyone already living in the Google Workspace. Drafting emails directly in Gmail, summarizing documents in Google Docs, generating content that flows seamlessly into the tools you're already using without switching context. And as a practical example, you have a long Google Doc full of research notes and you need a summary you can turn into a newsletter section. You open Gemini within the doc, ask it to synthesize the key points in your voice, and have a working draft without leaving the document. For Google native solopreneurs, this kind of friction removal is genuinely significant. Privacy note, this is an Ember tool. Google's data practices are GDPR compliant in Europe, but Google is an advertising business and your data interactions inform their system. So anonymize accordingly. The next one is also a Google tool. It's Google Notebook LM. And what it is a research and synthesis tool from Google that works specifically with documents you upload. It reasons across your own material rather than the open internet. And this is best for making sense of large bodies of your own content, uploading your course scripts, for example, podcast transcripts, research PDFs, or ebook drafts, and asking Notebook LM to synthesize, cross-reference, and surface patterns across them. Practical example. You have 8 podcast scripts from season 2 and you want to identify the key themes that run across all of them to inform your ebook structure. You upload all 8 scripts to Notebook LM and ask it to map the recurring ideas and the connections between episodes. And in minutes, you have a thematic map that would have taken hours to build manually. So I use this tool regularly for exactly this kind of work. There's also a feature worth knowing about, the audio overview. Notebook LM can turn your uploaded documents into a podcast-style conversation between 2 AI voices that summarizes and discusses your material. It is remarkable for getting a quick orientation across a large body of content, and as podcast listeners, you will find it immediately intuitive. Privacy note, this is also Amber. Your uploaded documents are used to generate responses within your notebook. So Google states they are not used to train their general models, but if the documents contain confidential client information, review Google's current data terms before uploading. Number 6, Perplexity AI. What it is? It's an AI-powered search engine that answers questions with cited sources. It tells you not just what it thinks, but where it got the information. It is really best for research tasks where you need verifiable current information, checking facts, getting up to speed on a topic quickly, finding out what the current regulatory landscape looks like, what competitors are doing, or what the latest thinking is on a particular subject. With references, you can actually check. So, practical example. You are preparing an episode on AI risks, and you want to know what the current EU AI Act says about high-risk AI systems. You ask Perplexity. It gives you a clear, cited summary with links to the source documents. You verify what matters. You move forward informed rather than guessing. On a privacy note, this is also Amber. Standard web search privacy considerations apply. Do not input sensitive personal or client data into search queries. Number 7, and I personally find this very useful, is Canva AI. What it is? The AI features built into Canva, Magic Write for text generation, image generation, and design suggestions, integrated directly into the tool most of you are already using to build your visual presence. It really is best for creating social media content, presentations like ebook layouts, and any visual asset where you need both design and copy. The AI features remove the blank canvas problem the same way a text AI removes the blank page problem. They give you a starting point, and you then shape them into something that is genuinely yours. Here's a practical example. You are creating a carousel post for Instagram about the 5 things entrepreneurs get wrong about AI. And you open Canva, use Magic Write to generate a first draft of the copy for each slide, select a template, and then edit both the design and the text until it looks and sounds like you. What used to take 90 minutes takes 30 or less. Privacy note, this is also Amber, and do not include client names or confidential business information in AI-generated design briefs with Canva. The final one for today is Otter AI. What it is an AI transcription and note-taking tool that converts spoken audio, meetings, calls, voice notes, interviews into searchable, editable text in real time. It is best for entrepreneurs who think better out loud than on a page, capturing ideas like on the go, transcribing client calls for reference, converting voice notes into structured drafts, removing the friction between having a thought and having a usable record of it. Practical example. You finish a discovery call with a potential client, and instead of scrambling to write up your notes, you have a full transcript waiting in Otter. You paste the key points into Claude or Lumo, ask it to help you structure a follow-up proposal, and you have a draft within the hour. The transcript lives in your AI workflow folder. The proposal draft goes into AI Active. Privacy note. This is also an Amber. Audio recordings of conversations with clients require their knowledge and consent. This is very important before you start to tape anything. Make sure they are aware and they consent. Check your local requirements also. In Switzerland, recording a conversation without consent is a legal matter worth understanding before you start. A note on privacy concerns. In this episode and on my radar, only Lumo is green in this kit. Everything else is amber or dark amber, not red, but not dangerous, but requiring your conscious attention. That does not mean you should not use them, otherwise I would not have included them. It means you should use them with the standing rule from episode 1 always in place. Anonymize what matters, verify what goes out, and then choose the green tool when the stakes are high. Think of it this way. Lumo is your secure office with the door closed. The amber tools are like the coffee shop, perfectly fine for most work, just not the place to discuss confidential client details at full volume. So that's my 8 tools. One small starter kit, each with a purpose, each with a home in your Power folder structure, and each requiring exactly the same thing from you, your judgment, your editorial eye, and your name on the door. Waypoint 3, 4 rhythms putting the toolkit to work. Now that you have your workspace set up and your toolkit in hand, the final piece is rhythm. Because here is what I have observed, and in my work and in watching other entrepreneurs navigate this. The people who get the most out of AI are not the ones who know the most tools. They are the ones who have integrated AI into how they already work. Like not as an extra thing to do, not as a separate creative session they schedule and then postpone, but as a natural part of the working week, as automatic as opening your emails or checking your calendar. That integration does not happen by accident. It happens by design. And what I'm about to share is not a rigid schedule. It is a framework of 4 rhythms: research, drafting, creation, and review. Each rhythm has a natural home in your working week, a set of tools that serve it best, and a para destination where its outputs belong. You will adapt this to your own week and your own energy patterns and your own business. But the framework gives you a starting point that is far more useful than a blank page. So rhythm 1 is research. This is the rhythm of gathering and making sense. You are not creating it, you are orienting. Getting up to speed on a topic, finding out what is true and what is current and what is relevant. Synthesizing across material you already have. Tools for this rhythm: Complexity for current, cited information from the web, Google Notebook LM for synthesizing across your own documents, scripts, and research, and Gemini if you are working with Google Docs and need to make sense of material already in your drive. The power destination is your AI library. Research outputs, source summaries, and reference material that will inform future work all belong here. You are a practical example. You are preparing episode 3 on perfectionism and AI. Before writing a word, you run a research rhythm session in Perplexity. Save the key outputs into your AI library, and when you sit down to draft, everything you need is already waiting. Rhythm 2, drafting. This is the rhythm of creating. You are moving from idea to first version, whether that is a script, an email sequence, a course module, a newsletter, proposal, or a social media caption. This is where the blank page gets eliminated and the sculptor finds the block of marble. Tools for this rhythm: or Lumo for anything sensitive or client adjacent, Claude for complex long form or structurally demanding work, ChatGPT for quick drafts, options generation, and tasks where speed matters more than depth, and your own voice always as the editorial layer that goes on top of everything. Power destination, AI active. Every draft in progress lives here until it is complete. A practical example. You are drafting your monthly newsletter. You open Lumo because your newsletter sometimes references client situations, even in anonymized form, and you brief it with your topic, your audience, and 3 bullet points of what you want to say. It gives you a first draft. You read it, edit it heavily, and make it sound like you. The working draft goes into AI Active under Newsletter. When it is sent out, it moves to AI Vault. Rhythm 3, creation. This is the rhythm of making things visible. You have drafted, now you're building the finished asset, the designed post, the formatted document, the visual that carries your idea into the world in a form people can actually engage with. Tools for this rhythm? Canva AI for visual content, social media posts, carousels, presentation slides, ebook pages, anything that needs to look as good as it reads. Otter AI if you're capturing ideas on the go and converting voice to structured text as part of your creation process. The power destination is AI workflow. Finished content templates, recurring post formats, and reusable visual frameworks belong here. One-off completed pieces go to AI Vault. A practical example. You have your newsletter draft from Rhythm 2, and now you want to turn the key idea into an Instagram carousel. You open Canva, use the draft as your brief, use Magic Writes to generate slide copy as a starting point, select the template that fits your brand, and edit both the design and the text until it is genuinely yours. The finished template, the carousel format you will use again, goes into AI Workflow. The specific post, once published, goes to AI Vault. Rhythm 4, review. This is the rhythm most people skip, and it is the one that compounds the most over time. Review is where you look at what you produced, what worked, what the AI got right, and where it fell short, and what you want to do differently next time. It is also where you update your AI library, saving the prompts that worked, refining the ones that almost worked, and filing the voice reference examples that will make your next drafting session faster. Tools for this rhythm? Whichever tools you used in the other 3 rhythms, you are reviewing their outputs, not generating new ones. And your journal, the analog one with the pen, because some of the most useful review thinking happens away from the screen. The power destination is the AI library. Updated prompts, refined templates, and workflow notes all go there, and again, completed work goes into the AI Vault. Putting it together. You do not need to run all 4 rhythms every week. Some weeks are heavy on drafting, some are heavy on creation. Research might happen intensively for 2 weeks before a new project, and then not at all for a month. Review might be weekly for some people and fortnightly for others. What matters is that you now know these 4 rhythms exist, that you have tools for each one, and that everything those tools produce has a home in your AI workspace. That is a system, simple, flexible, and entirely yours to adapt. The toolkit without the rhythm is just a collection of tabs. The rhythm without the toolkit is just good intentions. But together, they become something you can actually build a business on. Takeaway and close. Let's bring it together. Today was about removing the mystery and replacing it with something practical. A workspace, a toolkit, a rhythm. 3 things you can actually implement. Not someday, not when you feel ready, but this week. Here's what I want you to take away. AI works best when it lives inside a structure you have built intentionally, not a complicated structure, 4 folders, clearly named, consistently used. Your AI active, your AI workflow, your AI library, and your AI Vault. Set that up today and everything else has a home. The toolkit is not something you master all at once, and it's something that'll keep growing. It is something that you grow into. Start with 1 tool, ideally Lumo if you're already handling anything client adjacent or sensitive, or Claude if you are working on something complex and long form, or ChatGPT if you just want to try something quickly with low stakes. 1 tool, 1 task, 1 experiment, that is enough for week 1. And the rhythms are not a schedule, they are framed. Research when you need to gather and orient. Draft when you need to create. Build when you need to make things visible. Review when you need to reflect and improve. Those 4 movements will serve you regardless of what your week looks like or how your energy flows through it. This week, 3 actions. Set up your 4 folders today. It takes 15 minutes at the most. Choose one tool and choose it for one real task, not a test, a task that actually matters in your day-to-day. And before you open any tool, brief yourself first. What do you want to say? Who are you saying it to? And what does a good output look like? Write it down before you type a word. The clarity you bring in determines the quality you get out. Next week, we're staying in the AI conversation, but shifting the lens entirely. Episode 3 is called Perfection, Productivity, and AI. Are you building or just generating? And it is the episode for anyone who has wondered whether all this AI-assisted output is actually moving their business forward or just keeping them busy with the appearance of progress. If that question has crossed your mind even once, you will want to be there. Until then, remember, all that is yours, you always carry with you. Thank you for listening.